Now we move to Kashmir and a discussion of the passing of a very important leader there who impacted the struggle for Kashmiri freedom and is being mourned by many people around the world. To discuss his passing and who he was and what his life was and what his impact was, I'd like to welcome our special guest, Dr. Mubeen Shah, who is the former president of the Jammu and Kashmir Joint Chamber of Commerce and Industry and former president of the Kashmir Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the director of the Kashmir House in Turkey. He joins us from Istanbul. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Shah. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for joining us. Alhamdulillah. Let me start asking a simple question. Tell us about this person. Who was he, and what did he do that has made him so well known, not only in Kashmir and India, but around the world?
You know, he was a very important Hurriyat leader. Hurriyat, is sort of for freedom, of Kashmir, and is an organization, of freedom-loving people. And he was imprisoned for the last 5 years from 2017. And he was he was a son-in-law of our most prominent leader, Ali Shah Gilani Sahab. And he was, before 2019, India created a situation where a lot of Hurriyat leaders were arrested on trumped-up cases, like, trumped-up cases of funding, and then he was arrested besides other leaders. And he, unfortunately, he was a diabetic patient, and he then developed carcinoma of the kidneys. And he was not given any treatment. And even when his family members, tried to ask the government of India through different, things like the court, and finally the court ordered that he should be sent to a hospital where there are facilities to check him up. They had taken him from the prison to a hospital. We did not have even the PET scan, and he was then diagnosed for renal carcinoma, and then unfortunately he died. And and the dead body was not even handed over without there a lot of delay, and now finally it has been handed over to the
Dr. Shah. Can you tell us about? Thank you for sharing that. And so, how old was he? And tell us about his life. What obviously he's the son-in-law of a prominent leader. Can you talk about his contributions to the struggle for Kashmiri freedom against India's fascist government?
No, he was 66 years old, and he was an important confidant of the most prominent leader, Ali Shah Gilani, and he used to be the person who would sort of contact the other leadership on behalf of Gilani Sahab. And that is why his role was very important. And in the end years of life of Ali Shah Gilani, losing such a confidant in the sense of being imprisoned was also a setback to the movement to a great extent. And wherever and whenever, for example, I also met him a number of times, particularly after 2008, when there was a movement against the Amarnath Rao and Amarnath giving of land in Amarnath. And he was very, very prominently in arranging all the conferences, all the meetings in the Hurriyat office as such. And at the same time, he was sort of a person who would be advising the leadership about what to do, what not to do. And in such things, there are certain people who are having an important role in putting forward the viewpoints of the freedom-fighting people.
Understood, Dr. Shah. Tell us about the other the other Kashmiri leaders who are illegally detained by the Indian government. Are there many others? Anyone else whose health is in danger? Tell us about the status of other Kashmiri leaders.
No, there are, the number of freedom-loving people, and besides the leaders, are imprisoned. And one of the most prominent one is Mr. Muhammad Yasin Malik, who is who is having a heart problem, a number of health problems, and he has also been incarcerated with these trumped up cases. And after 9/11, India has taken full advantage of the world in the world that whatever things they can put up any trumped up charges, they label them as terrorists, label them as funding of terrorism. While this is the unfortunate part that the world has been silent regarding, because no Kashmiri is a terrorist, he's a freedom fighter. That's the basic thing, and this is where the problem lies in the narrative building in the Western world, particularly. And while as the Ukraine people are considered to be freedom fighters, while as Kashmiris who have been fighting for the last 70 years are labeled as terrorists, and any funding, anything is labeled as terrorist funding. This is the basic problem, and this is where we have not been able, unfortunately, develop that narrative.
So what impact does his passing have on the Kashmiri people and the struggle for freedom? Where does it go from here in the wake of this? Will his passing, his death in custody, lead to more unrest, increase the struggle for freedom, or is it a blow to the movement? What are your thoughts?
Oh, it is certainly a blow to the movement, but at the same time, the outside world have to understand that after 2019, they have made examples, particularly examples of people being arrested and then not being given their day in the court. We have to understand that after 2017, he was put in a jail where there is, first of all, no hearing for the first 2 years, and after that, and taking cover of the judicial system in India, they prolong those cases so that they certainly not able to get any justice from the Indian justice system. So and the impact is this thing that the Indian government with incarceration of these type of freedom fighters, leaders, give a certain thing to the Kashmiri people there that nobody is safe. So because even the world is not speaking about us, even the world is not making you cry. Yes, this thing now because this labeling is very, very important, and this is where India has been successful, and this is the most important part of it. And what I feel is that the dissent will grow, it will not stop, but it is like a lava, when it can come out any time, and it's going to come out, inshallah.
So then what is your hope for the future in light of the Indian government's kind of shift towards this far-right extremism inspired by the BJP and the Hindutva movement, the stalemate militarily between Pakistan and India? What is your hope for the future? Is it free elections in Kashmir, independence? What's the goal in the long term and short term, God willing?
You see, the only goal for which Kashmiris are fighting is the right to self-determination, which has been based on the resolution of the United Nations, and that is the goal. Elections and all do not matter for our freedom movement. Elections is a sort of for the Indian government. They try to tell to the world that this is what that Kashmiris want, but that is even in the UN Security Council resolutions. You can have a local administration to do day in day out work, as to run an administration, to run a government, but not the government of the people, what they want, and they have not been given that right of self-determination, that which country, or whether they want to be free, whether they want to be part of Pakistan or part of India. That is the ultimate. No elections. This is all, sort of that is not our what we want to be. That is the main thing.
Absolutely, the right to choose, in line with what was agreed years ago, decades ago, and that has been denied.
70 years back, 48. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And that is the denied of people of Kashmir. Well, look, I think, would you agree, Dr. Shah, an important part of this is raising awareness around the world. Obviously, Muslims around the world are very concerned about the plight of so many people, Palestinians, Uyghurs, including Kashmiris. But I suspect in America, anyway, there's not as much attention paid to Kashmir. So any advice you would give to American Muslims about what you like to see the United States government be doing to help push things toward a just resolution?
See, I will give you a very simple, one example of I wrote on my Twitter that difference between Israelis and Indians is that Israelis at least allow Palestinians to cry. Indians don't even allow us to cry. Their cruelties even show that the body is not released, still to be transferred to Kashmir. This I wrote some 11 hours back because at that time the body was being delayed. Number one. Number two is that America is the power which can do changes, and through the if they are transparent about what is the international rule. While as in the case of Ukraine, they are saying to the world that we want international order, while in the case of India, because of its problem with China, they are keeping silent and keeping its eyes closed. Although, let me be very clear also at the same time, for I was arrested in 2019 myself, and I was released within 4 months only on the pressure of United States. Because if you see the record, my name was mentioned in the Senate hearings, and it was because of the then US government, although it was under Trump, but they made it sure that I was released. And although this is where the important all our prisoners. And let me be very clear also another thing. United States was the country which, as per WikiLeaks, also sort of gave the necessary assurance to one of our freedom fighter leaders, Yasin Malik, whom I mentioned before, who is ill, to leave arms and fight this without arms. That is on the Gandhian system. And today, America is not supporting the gentleman to be released because he had left arms on the assurance of powers like America to be released. And he's not being released. America is not fighting for him. America is fighting for the Ukrainian person. Yes, they may be doing the right thing there, but why not about Kashmir?
We all know the answer to that, sadly. But certainly you have the solidarity of the Muslim community and many people who support human rights for all around the world. And we thank you for joining us, Dr. Shah. We look forward to having you back to discuss the latest developments and hopefully progress in the struggle for Kashmiri self-determination and freedom and independence. Thank you so much, Dr. Shah. We'll talk soon, inshallah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.